Hi, welcome back to our study of women who encountered Jesus and our look at the Samaritan woman at the well. We're coming to the crucial moment here, and we've already talked about the fact that he met her there in the middle of the day and talked to her. He was alone, his disciples were gone into the village. So a strange man talking to an unknown woman talked to her, offered her living water. And she was interested, but when he brought up the fact that she had had 5 husbands, all of a sudden she backtracked and started to change the subject. They talked a little bit about that. And now she's at the point in verse 25 where she's saying to him, I know from the Torah that we have that there will be a Messiah, a Christ, and when that person comes, he'll explain everything to us. So she's showing a little bit of her own knowledge of the one true God. So we are in John 4, chapter 4 of the Gospel of John, and we're starting at verse 25. The woman said, I know that Messiah, called Christ, is coming, and when he comes, he will explain everything to us. Then Jesus declared, I, the one speaking to you, I am he. Dun, dun, dun. This is the crucial moment. He explains who he really is. He identifies himself. This was the New International Version that I was reading. If I read this from a different translation, it says, Then Jesus told her, I am the Messiah. And the I am would have been that term that the Jews use for God. The I am is God. He says, I am that I am. That's God. So he says, I am the Messiah. So he's talking about, in one sentence, he says, I am truly man, and I am truly God. And I'm here to save the world. What a momentous statement. I mean, the one you're speaking to, I am he. She must have been flabbergasted. The other thing that flabbergasts me is this is not something that he tells everybody. If I look in previous versions, this is only the 4th chapter of John. If I look back on the other chapters of John, I'm not sure. I'd have to go and look, but I'm not sure if he ever tells anybody else in such explicit terms, I am the Messiah. He chooses to display that to a random person, a woman, not a man, and a Samaritan, not a Jew. That is really earth-shattering. I mean, that is so important to know that God and in Jesus chose someone as lowly as her to reveal himself to reveal his messianic personality, his messianic mission. That is really exciting, I think. So she is on tenterhooks, really, hearing him say, I am the Messiah. What must she have thought? And guess what? We don't get to hear her immediate response because there's an interruption. Frustrating. Because verse 27, just then, Jesus' disciples returned and were surprised to find him talking with a woman. We said before, this would not have been a common thing. So they were off getting food or whatever, and in the New Living Bible it says they were shocked to find him talking to a woman. But none of them had the nerve to ask, what do you want with her? Or why are you talking to her? They were smart enough at least to keep their mouths shut. But that doesn't mean they weren't thinking this, like looking at him going, what is going on? You're talking to this Samaritan and you're talking to a woman? I don't get it. We leave you alone for 10 minutes and this is what you do? They must have been very confused. So we don't get to hear what the woman would have said to him if the disciples had not arrived, because suddenly she leaves. Verse 28, the woman left her water jar beside the well and ran back to the village. I Love it. She didn't even take the water with her. She didn't even stop and get the water. She ran. She was so excited that she ran. There was a big reveal, this big announcement. All I could think of when I was reading this was I've been watching this program called The Masked Singer. You know, when they take the mask off, everybody's like shocked. You know, it's the big reveal, the big announcement. That was astounding to her. So astounding that she dropped her water jug right where it was and ran back to the village. She didn't want to waste any time. Okay, so if we look at some of the actions of this woman, first, she left her jar. When you find out about the power of Jesus and what the power of Jesus can mean in your life, you just want to drop everything. You want to drop everything and go for it. Okay, so nothing was going to hold her back from running into the village. And if she'd have taken the jar, that would have been cumbersome. So that was the first action she did. Let's look at the second action she did. The woman left her water jar beside the well and ran back to the village. The running tells us this was urgency. She was so excited. She was so thrilled. She didn't have a minute to waste. So there's that urgency and the idea of just leaving everything behind. You don't want to be pulled down by anything else. This is too exciting to know that Jesus himself is offering this living water to you. So she left her water jar. She ran back to the village, telling everyone. So that's the third verb, the third thing she does. She told everybody she saw. Hey, let me tell you something. Oh, wait till you hear what happened to me. Hey, let me tell you. She couldn't hold it in. She was so excited. This is the way it is when Jesus transforms your life. Many of us have known Jesus since we were little children. I know I was brought to the church when I was only 3 weeks old and baptized at that point, and my mother and father always went to church. They always took me to church. My relationship with Jesus has grown over many, many years that I've been alive, but I don't remember the first time I heard about him because I knew that was part of me from the time I was growing up. Many other people don't have that luxury of being brought up in a Christian family, and they find Jesus at a later time in life. And when they do, they are transformed suddenly and completely. And to talk to somebody like that, I talked to a girl not that long ago that was a brand new believer, and what excitement she had. She couldn't wait to tell everybody what this had done for her life, how it had changed everything. And I have never had that experience. I can tell you what Jesus has meant in my life over the years, but I can't remember that original first time that I came to know Jesus. And it's pretty exciting when you talk to people who have experienced that as adults and can really talk to you about it and how it changed their life. And that's why she is leaving everything, running to the town, and telling everyone. Those are three things she's doing. Okay, so let's see verse 29 now. She's left the water jar. She's running to the village. She's telling everyone, verse 29, "Come and see a man who told me everything I ever did. Could he possibly be the Messiah?" So there are two things she's saying here to them. First of all, she is telling them her story, that she encountered him and he told her all about her life and offered her this living water. She's giving her witness of her story, her encounter. And that in itself is huge. But then she asks kind of a question to get them thinking. So she says, could this possibly be the Messiah? She's getting people to kind of engage, saying, here's what I experienced. What do you think? I think so often when we talk about our faith, we don't give the other person a chance to talk. And we try to cram them full of information that they're not ready to absorb. She's just saying, here's what happened to me. What do you think? What do you think? you know? And she's leaving it up to them to draw their own conclusions. And that, of course, gives God a chance to work on their hearts as well. We're not responsible for anyone else accepting the gospel. We are only responsible for telling our story and letting Jesus do the rest. Because that's not our job. Our job is just to tell, to run, to leave, to tell. And then maybe to ask, what do you think? What do you think about that? And then leave the rest to God. It's so exciting the way she does this, because she impacts people with her simple little way of telling everybody what she's experienced. Because look at verse 30. So the people came streaming from the village to see him. The people came streaming. They didn't just walk. They saw how excited she was, and so they started streaming there in droves. And that was their response to hearing this good news. It's really quite remarkable. And one thing that's frustrating to me is I never heard her response to him telling her that he's the Messiah, but her response is given to us in her actions. She doesn't say anything, because right then the disciples came back at that critical moment. They had to walk in and barge in and interrupt everything. But we know how she felt because of what she did. Left everything, ran to the village, and told everyone she could see, asking them, could this be the Messiah? How exciting. She's thrilled. We're going to hear more about her impact on everyone else in the village in the rest of these verses. And we're also going to hear some things that Jesus says to his disciples about this whole encounter. So, hope to see you again. Have a blessed day and enjoy the beauty of today. Whatever your weather is, God has beauty for you today. Bye-bye.